Painkillers are very much essential, they are bound to be there. In every prescription, painkillers will be there. First thing, you will feel better. Means what you will feel, what doctor wants that you feel that doctor is good. First thing. Second thing, when virus infects us, right, immune system is somehow affected. And it may happen that there may be secondary infections, maybe opportunistic pathogens, they are already there. We are full of living organisms, normal flora of healthy human host, just try to check it out that layer. And that's why mild antibiotics are to be given so that this population do not dominate while your body is fighting with virus. Okay? Just to prevent secondary infections. Because when immune system goes down now, multiple infections are possible. Even fungi can dominate. It is already there. So you need to take care. Okay? So that is the foremost reason why they prescribe antibiotics. Directly antibiotics will not affect virus. But it will, otherwise immune system will be weakened. It will be overloaded. Now see, when you are affected, the treatment takes more time. If you are affected by virus, if you are affected by bacteria, then treatment will be allowed. It will take more time. Coming back to antibacterial, now we need to briefly understand antibacterial, fungal, viral and protozoal. Right? The first and the foremost is penicillin. Initially, ideally, they are considered as a narrow spectrum because they affect, right? We will see to that. Only peptidoglycan in case of gram-positive bacteria. So this is how the mode of action regarding penicillin is concerned. Right? It disrupts this cell wall, and if cell wall is not there, so as such, it was found that it is safe for humans. See, because when it is found, when it is justified that penicillin affects peptidoglycan, cell wall. We are made up of cell wall less eukaryotic organism. We don't have cell wall. We are happy to use penicillin, and that's why it was very successful. No side effects. No question regarding toxic dose is concerned because we don't have cell wall. Our system, we are eukaryotic. Eukaryotic cells, eukaryotic animal cells do not have cell wall. And if it is affecting cell wall, then it is wonder drug. I am affected by some bacteria, gram-positive bacteria suppose, right? At that time during World War, wounds, pathogens, anaerobic gram-positive organisms were there and it was widely used for the treatment. But just imagine if some drug is like that which cannot identify your cell, it will be good. So just have you thought regarding penicillin like this? It affects peptidoglycan and we don't have peptidoglycan. So it is safe. It is not toxic as such. But it was discontinued because of the resistance problem as well as allergy. Highly allergic. Right? That's why it is. And now, so first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, we are reaching to fifth generation modification because we need to eliminate that resistant factor. Right? Now combinations are given. Doctor gives the combinations of antibiotics. A part of text itself, it is the basic 6-aminopenicillinic acid, basic ring structure, and these are the various variants. Penicillin G, high activity against most gram-positive bacteria, low against gram-negative bacteria, destroyed by acid and penicillinase. Penicillin B was prepared, a modification in the basic structure, right? 6-aminopenicillin will remain same, but this will change. More acid resistant than penicillin G. Improvement, what we call this. Right? What is improvement? We are aware regarding the complete aspects. Then try to eliminate negative things out of it. Negative things was, it was destroyed by acid. New penicillin B was prepared, which is more resistant to acid. What's my point? So first of all, when you are aware regarding the specific aspect, then only you can go for modification. If I am aware regarding the dimensions of this room, then only I can modify it. Without dimensions, I cannot modify it. whether to reduce or increase. I need the original dimensions. Am I clear? And if it is there, then if I say it is comparatively large enough, I will reduce. Then again I will measure. Then it will justify whatever the things I did. Ampicillin, active against gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. So in generalized, whenever it is asked that penicillin or penicillins, now see, penicillin itself, suppose if it is penicillin G, fine, it is narrow spectrum. But if penicillins, this is broad spectrum. 100% you will get confused in MCQs. If there is slight change in terminology, in setting that. Misconception is there among students, right? Because they are not getting into the detail. Okay, they are well aware. Okay, penicillin is a narrow spectrum antibiotic. It affects gram-positive bacteria only, peptidoglycan. Now see, variants are there. Penicillins, group of penicillin, because we are not changing the basic 6 amino penicillinic acid, but we are modifying it, because I have found this antibiotic as a potential antibiotic, but it has some limitations. What I am trying to do, I am trying to improve it. I am trying to eliminate those limitations out of it, and we move ahead, right? So ampicillin, active against gram-positive, gram-negative bacteria, and they are acid stable also. Advantage. Carbanicillin, active against gram-negative bacteria like Pseudomonas, Proteus, acid stable, not well absorbed by small intestine. Good. Basic remains same. R group is changing. Methicillin, penicillinase resistant. Have you heard of MRSA? Methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. Just try to go through them. Because of this, the problem is arising. See, whatever we are doing, we are improving things, but then small creatures are more intelligent, and then it becomes very dangerous for us, right? And that organism is really creating a problem. But less active than penicillin G, acid labile. Actocillin, similar to the carbanicillin, but more active against Pseudomonas and so on. So these are the group of penicillins, what we call it as. You'll get this in textbooks, right? Next is cephalosporin. Penicillin was as such important, that's why I'm getting to that. Cephalosporins are the another antibacterial drugs. We will see the mode of action regarding these antibiotics are concerned, because mode of actions are frequently asked in the examinations, right? And students do get confused regarding their mode of actions are concerned. This is the first generation. I have first, second and third generation. These are the cephalosporin antibiotic. First generation, then there was an improvement. Second generation cephalosporin, right? Cephalosporin. Then third generation, fourth, and up to fifth generation is there, but I don't have that slide, right? So these are the, again, in same context, improvement of a particular drug, of a particular antibiotic for the better. These are now list of all antibacterial drugs, right? Vancomycin, aminoglycosides, tetracyclines, macrolides, chloramphenicol, sulfonamides or sulfa drugs, trimethoprim, and quinolones. So that you need to identify, because see, in case of antiprotozoan also, many times these are also combined and they are used. So you need to be, see, this is the concern, you need to be very clear regarding this, and we catch that point. I'll try to put something in MCQ, certain things like that. If you are not aware that it is antifungal, then definitely you are going to choose that. You need to identify that which one are common, which one is the unique for bacteria only, and that will be your correct answer. Though all four options are of antibacterial, but they are sometimes used for the treatment of other infections also. So at that time, you should be very clear. this is a brief overview regarding the mechanism of antibacterial action specifically. Now, as it is shown, right, regarding cell wall synthesis. This all antibiotics will inhibit cell wall synthesis, maybe penicillin, ampicillin, or all other groups up to cephalosporin we have seen. It inhibits transpeptidation, enzymes involved in cross-linking of a polysaccharide chain of a bacterial cell wall peptidoglycan, activate cell wall lytic enzymes. So these are the two mechanisms which operates, and finally organism or the pathogen, what we will say, is destroyed. In case of vancomycin, binds directly to this D-LAD terminus and alanine terminus and inhibits transpeptidation. In case of bestracin, inhibits cell wall synthesis by interfering with the action of lipid carrier that transport wall precursor across the plasma. All of these various mechanisms, mode of actions, definitely you will get in the textbook. But you need to remember. Maximum number of MCQs can be generated from this particular slide. And it is frequently asked regarding the mode of action. Which particular antibiotic affects them? All this listed here in this slide affects cell wall synthesis. And as cell wall is a very important barrier, right, organisms will not be able to survive if effective dose is given. MIC is very important. Don't forget that. Right? If you provide dose below MIC, organism will become more dangerous. Right? And above MIC, it will be toxic. So determination of MIC is again a very important aspect, very important. Same antibacterial, but now they inhibits protein synthesis. Now these are dangerous for us, and it can be used because it will affect eukaryotic process also. As I have said that penicillin, suppose if I consider penicillin, original penicillin, which affects only peptidoglycan, I don't have peptidoglycan in my cells. But now, suppose if they are going to affect bacterial protein synthesis, then they may affect protein synthesis of the eukaryotes also. You need to take care. And that's why toxic dose therapeutic index becomes very important to justify. Because concentration plays a very important role. In case of this protein synthesis, streptomycin and gentamicin binds with 30S subunit of bacterial ribosome to inhibit protein synthesis. You are well aware regarding the role of this 30S unit, Swedberg. Causes misreading of mRNA. Chloramphenicol binds with 50S, tetracycline binds with 30S again, erythromycin and clindamycin 50S, and fucinic acid binds with factor G and blocks transformation. So you should be very clear regarding this protein synthesis, transcription process and translation process in detail. Right? If you are well aware with this, then it is very much, it will be very easier for you to identify the exact and clear-cut mode of action, and you can give reasons also behind it. And whatever the way, whatever the twisted question it may be, suppose if it is asked, you will be able to answer because you are very clear regarding its complete mode of action. Nucleic acid synthesis inhibition, again antibacterial. Nucleic acid directly it affects, inhibits bacterial DNA gyrase and thus interfere with DNA replication, transcription and other activities. And once suppose these are hindered, then organism will die. So that's why this is very important mode of action. Rifampin blocks RNA synthesis by binding and inhibiting the DNA dependent RNA polymerase. Cell membrane disruption is polymyxin B binds to the plasma membrane and disturbs its structure, permeability properties. Once permeability is lost, it is a selective permeable membrane, and once that is lost, right, organisms will not be survive. Cannot differentiate it. It's selective permeability, and that's why one which alters this, finally, organisms will die. This is also very dangerous. Cell membrane. Eukaryotic cell is directly cell membrane. We don't have cell wall to protect cell membrane. Metabolic antagonism, these are the again mixed type of antibacterial actions. Sulfonamides, trimethoprim, dapsone and isoniazid. Right? In many cases it may happen that still certain things are not clear. Suppose in case of, we will see in further, right? Things are very complicated. We are not aware of it. If research is done, if something is fine, justified, and so sometimes it may happen that there may be some complicated reactions involved underlying this mode of actions. Antifungal. Treatment of fungal infections generally has been less successful than bacterial infections, largely because as eukaryotes, now see, this is the point, and why fungi is more dangerous than bacteria. Fungal cells are much more similar to humans than that are bacterial cells. Right? I have clearly justified this point previously also. We have similar chemistry. Just try to check whatever the things are done in case of Saccharomyces cerevisiae, yeast, unicellular eukaryotic organism, right? Most of the things which happens inside that, same thing happens in our cells. So if you are focusing on that, then you need to take care of eukaryotic human cells also. And that's why it becomes very difficult. Though treatments are there, but it is comparatively difficult. That is what I mean to say. Drugs that inhibit or kill fungi are therefore quite toxic for humans and thus have low therapeutic index. To be very effective, it should have high therapeutic index. Because toxic dose will increase. It will harm us. Right? That's why controlled usage is very much essential. Fungal infections are often subdivided. These are the three subdivisions, that is superficial mycosis, subcutaneous mycosis, and systemic mycosis related to fungal infections. Effective antifungal agents frequently either extract membrane sterols. Bacteria lack sterols. They don't have sterols. Eukaryotic organisms do. To prevent their synthesis. If this thing is done, cell membrane disrupts. The enzyme chitin synthase is also the target for antifungals like polyoxin D or nicomycin. The cell wall is made up of chitin, right? N-acetyl glucosamine and muramic acid. Chitin and glucan. Fungal cell walls are made up of chitin and glucan. Right? Major component is chitin itself. And suppose this chitin synthase enzyme is blocked, then synthesis will not occur, it will not grow, and finally organism will die. So this is the underlying mechanism, this is the underlying principle. Imidazole containing drugs like miconazole, ketoconazole or clotrimazole are broad spectrum and are thought to disrupt fungal membrane permeability. Now see, thought, they are not sure. It is supposed, and inhibit sterol synthesis. They are effective, they are used, they are approved, right? But the mode of action, because see, without comparatively more toxicity, they are effective, and finally treatment is possible. So what is the mode of action? Still not clear, but we may say that it will, or it disrupts fungal membrane permeability and inhibit sterol synthesis both. And that's why they are very effective. Nystatin, another important antifungal drug, right? Produced by Streptomyces. Now it is the natural defense mechanism. Streptomyces, actinomycetes. For its survival, it produces, as what Fleming saw, right? Staphylococcus aureus growth was inhibited by fungi secreting certain component. Now you are well aware of that it was penicillin. So this nystatin is used to control candida infections of the skin, vagina and alimentary tract. It binds to sterol and damages the membrane, leading to fungal membrane leakage. All this finally will lead to death of that organism or restrict the growth of the organism. Rishofulvin, antibiotic from Penicillium species, is thought to disrupt the mitotic spindle and inhibit cell division. It also may inhibit protein and nucleic acid synthesis widely used. Nystatin and griseofulvin. You are well aware regarding these drugs. They are not new to all of you. Three drugs commonly used against systemic mycosis are amphotericin B, 5-fluocytosine and fluconazole. These are the three drugs most commonly used against systemic mycosis, in which amphotericin B disrupts cell membrane permeability. So overall, if membrane permeability, right, it is the common thing regarding the antifungal drugs. You need to remember this. This is a fundamental. That is basic. Right? No change in that. Regarding 5-fluocytosine, it is converted into 5-fluorouracil by fungi and incorporated into RNA in place of uracil, mimic and disrupt RNA function. Accidentally, it will be replaced, and that is the mode of action regarding the killing of that organism. Right? These are the structures, complicated structures of those all antifungal agents that we saw. You can find it in the textbook itself. Antiviral drugs. Most antiviral drugs disrupt either critical stages in virus life cycle or synthesis of virus specific nucleic acid. Right? Because it is very complicated, it requires host, right? And then some cells, our cells, host cells will also be destroyed. These are the various antiviral drugs which are available in the market. Amantadine blocks the penetration and uncoating of influenza virus particle. Penetration it blocks and uncoating. So finally, without host, if penetration is not there, no multiplication, no lysis, no lytic cycle, particles are not released, and slowly it will be eliminated. Adenine arabinoside disrupt the activity of DNA polymerase and several other enzymes involved in DNA and RNA synthesis function of viruses. And in this way, it controls, or the organisms are controlled. Treatment is possible with the help of these aspects. Very famous, acyclovir is used in treatment of herpes infection. Upon phosphorylation, this drug resembles deoxy-GTP and inhibits viral DNA polymerase. Right? Acyclovir is very famous drug. Others are this AZT or 3DC, DDI, DDC. All are first anti-HIV drugs to be developed where reverse transcriptase is found in So these are all initial developed drugs. Now it is very difficult, multiple therapy is used, right? So all were anti-HIV drugs which were initially developed, right? Which focused on only reverse transcriptase. We will see right now what are the other strategies which are used. So they are reverse transcriptase inhibitors, which are this AZT, 3TC, DDI and DTC, right? So that you need to remember. The antiviral drugs currently approved for use in HIV disease are of 4 types. Number first is nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors, shortly known as NRTIS. Non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor, NRTIS. Protease inhibitors, shortly known as PIs, and fusion inhibitors, that is FIs. 3 of the most used PIs are Saquanavir, Indinavir and Ritonavir. These are the names of those antiviral drugs which are currently used for the treatment of HIV. Right? Mainly they are PI, that is protease inhibitor. Okay, so that again, this information you should be very clear. You should be knowing that, so that you can attempt that question. Knowledge is also final aim of overall understanding. The most important, most famous, you are well aware again, Tamiflu, right, is a neuraminidase inhibitor that has received much attention in light of H1N1 influenza pandemic, including novel H1N1 influenza, which was recently outbroke, regarding what we call it as now swine flu, right? That is the, so Tamiflu is the, again, neuraminidase inhibitor antiviral drugs. How? Because see, finally the most important aspect regarding this is that they are still not used as much, but they are effective. Some or the other way they are not allowing those virus, because if they require host, right? So that association is very much essential. Somehow what they are developing is they are trying to identify the region where specific viruses bind, right? And some, just imagine that it is a type of coating, right, covering, right? So it will just mask that thing, but that's all, nothing more than that. And if it is masked, then they will not be able to identify, or they will not be able to get attached with them. This is the thought regarding the research process is concerned. A very simple logic you need to apply, right? Suppose something is there, then they will not allow. It will not easier for them to identify that location and to get attached and then inject there. That can be. Then again, it is very difficult. We need to check out that many things, many complicated things are there, because see, in vivo as it is, so in vitro, in laboratory, under test, under conditions, and in humans, biochemistry, physiology of each and every humans, how it will interact, where it will go, how much toxic it will have, what will be the effectivity, we never know. Behind this, these protease enzymes are much more target, much more easier they have found to do. So as such, complete treatment is still not possible. We are still working on it, but they are trying to mask certain things, right? In the other way, suppose they are not able to destroy viruses, try to protect other things, so that so basic fundamental says that it should attach. So if you play with that attachment mechanism somehow, it is breakthrough. That is it, right? These are all antiviral drugs. This is not completely understood still till to date, right, regarding antiprotozoan. Most antiprotozoan drugs appear to act on protozoan nucleic acid synthesis, protein synthesis, electron transport, or folic acid synthesis, right? These are the various drugs listed in combinations, plus or minus, you can get that. Some of those antibacterial drug in combination also are used as the projected. The final most important aspect regarding the drug resistance and regarding the factors influencing antimicrobial drug effectiveness is drug must actually be able to reach the site of infection. This is very important. Monoclonal antibodies are perfect regarding diagnosis, regarding treatment of cancer is concerned. I think you might have studied specific antigens, specific monoclonal antibodies which will identify the antigens of the cancer cell itself. And then what you need to do, you need to bind that monoclonal antibody with some prodrug or some enzymes, some prodrug which can be converted into drug in that immediate vicinity, because finally that monoclonal antibody will bind to that specific antigen itself. And then as it is in nearby area, prodrug can be converted into active form of drug, or some enzymes are attached with that antibodies so that they convert. Then you take something, right, again prodrug. It will be throughout the body, but where enzyme is available, only there at that place it will be converted into some form, and that such type of things are going on, such type of research are going on. Monoclonal antibodies are helping a lot, right? The outcome of hybridoma technology that you are well aware of it. It should reach the site of infection. That is the first antimicrobial drug. Pathogen must be susceptible to the drug, right? If it is resistant, then there is no question of using that drug. The chemotherapeutic drug must reach levels in the body that exceed the pathogen's MIC value if it is going to be effective, not below. So prescription, amount taken, right? Got that point? I said that you just skip. You take drugs for 6 days and 7 days, okay, I am fine. Even many times I did like that, because these chemicals are very dangerous. right? It affects your mood. You feel uneasiness, high doses of antibiotics. It is not tolerable at all. So what we feel, we try to remove, because so much quantity is injected or ingested, right? It will have its effect. It will take time to get eliminated by natural process, right? Chemotherapy has been rendered less effective and much more complex by the spread of drug resistant genes. You should be very well aware regarding this aspect. You should be very clear regarding the resistance, and then, because if you are not aware regarding resistant genes, then how you can apply in treatment purpose, right? So this is again a very important, a very tricky point, right, which may be the form of question. Drug resistance, right? Self-explanatory chart is there. How resistance can be developed. This is the first in case of non-resistant bacteria and the effectivity of the drug, right? Drug treatment. First part is the exposure to the bacteria occurs. In case of non-resistant bacteria, what will happen? Infection occurs and bacteria spread. Drug treatment use, all bacteria will die. Antimicrobial agents are effective when organisms are growing, right? So when they are in active log phase, only it will be effective, and that's why that cycle is to be maintained. Many times doctor prescribes drug and this period, right? This is a type of cycle as such, 24 hours, right? That after, suppose morning, so morning one time is to be determined, let's suppose 9. હવે એવું બને કે આજે મોર્નિંગમાં ભૂલી ગયા કાલે, તો ઇટ વિલ અફેક્ટ. અને પછી તમે બપોરે લઈ લીધી અને રાતની પછી સી ધી ડોઝ, ધ ગેપ બિટવીન ધ ડોઝ. It is to be taken in morning and evening, right? Then that is to be maintained. This is very important. And it should be very clear to all of you that it is only effective when it grows. So growth is essential. If it in dormant form, it will be ineffective. If it comes in dormant, late log, stationary phase, it will remain. They will not be eliminated, they will not be destroyed. And that's why reoccurrence sometimes happens. Because of our carelessness, because of our not following the instructions of the doctor, this happens. Complete elimination is not possible. So they should allow to grow sometimes, and then our drug is there to kill them. So this is a strategy, treatment strategy. So in case of drug resistance, what will happen? Resistance has been developed, they will multiply, they will go on multiplying, right? As it is shown. He will remain sick throughout because it is extra. Antibiotics are not. It is not, the dose is not above MIC, it is below MIC. And already that organism has developed resistance. So sensitive organisms will be killed, other will just go on multiplying. Genetic mutation causes drug resistance. Non-resistant bacteria exist. Mutation in DNA, suppose 1 or 2, 1%, 2% of the population. Bacteria multiply by the billions. Few of these will mutate. Some mutations make this bacterium drug resistance. In presence of drugs, only drug resistant bacteria will survive. Drug resistant bacteria multiply. So whenever you go for isolation, in that suppose suspension is given to you where 500, 600, 700 cells are there, you just take colonies, and next day you take one colony and you proceed for it. And if you are lucky enough or unlucky, you will take that resistant colony itself. Now you have only one organism which is highly resistant, it will go on. So you need to check sensitivity of that organism every time. This is antibiotic resistance and has many sources. I think we'll not go into that detail because we need to cover some disinfectants and antiseptics also. But this is the overall chart which is available in textbook, that how resistance spread, right? From the prescription, right, to the, here it is mentioned, prescription of antibiotics, in patients prescription of antibiotics, use of antibiotics in animal feeds and farms, right? When it comes to hospital, nursing homes, antibiotic selective pressure, all these are genetic factors, and finally spread of antimicrobial resistant bacteria into the community, right? As I have said, because see, if I'm not taking that medicines, right, resistance will be developed organism, and I will eliminate because we are open system, right? We will excrete that. It will be an environment difference. Unnecessary exposure of these chemicals and antibiotics, again resistance will be developed. More and more stronger they will become. This justifies that how it comes. This is a chain of antibiotics, how it comes. So drugs added in livestock feed so that they can overproduce. They are used in aquatic environment. They go in soil. They are taken up by the humans also via food. These are the four mechanisms, generalized four mechanisms, right, well known to all of you regarding antibiotic resistant mechanism is concerned. First one is preventing access to the target antibiotic, right? That is which is shown here. Second is degrading antibiotic itself. Third is altering antibiotic, changing, and fourth is rapidly excluding the antibiotic. This is how the mechanism works. And for all this purpose, this is plasma. For this one. So your organism will not be killed. That is what I want to say. These are the various mechanisms underlying. This is how the genes resistance are transferred. Horizontal gene transfer, bacteria exchange genetic information such as antibiotic resistant genes through conjugation, transformation and transcription. More and more organisms. Once it is in environment, it is going to spread. How will you stop that? And that pathogen will infect you. The dose will not work. So unnecessary use of antibiotics are to be restricted. That is what this particular specific slide say justify. These are the listed characteristics of ideal antimicrobial chemical agent. Now we are jumping into that. Regarding again recalling those disinfectants and antiseptics, right? It should have a good antimicrobial activity. It should be soluble. It should be stable. It should be non-toxic to humans and other animals. It should have a good homogeneity, non-combination with extraneous organic material so that it will remain more effective. Active ingredients is there itself in a particular concentration. Toxicity to microorganisms at room or body temperature itself, because it will be very difficult if it works at higher temperature, right? So it should be toxic to the organisms at only room temperature. Everybody will use it. It should have a very good capacity to penetrate, non-corroding, and non-staining. Deodorizability. It should be have a favorable order, right? Very difficult. You need to incorporate them. Detergent capacities and availability. Right? Very difficult, but you should reach near to them. All 12 characters in a single. It is difficult aspect. But if 9, 10, or more than that are solved, you are happy with that. Phenol and phenolic compounds. Two most important, because we need to understand those antiseptics and disinfectants. I have only covered two, phenol and phenolic compounds, alcohols and halogens, right? It will take just, I think, we'll be well in time, 10-15 minutes more to understand this. So, credit to Lister, surgeon, who instituted the practice of applying a solution of phenol, that was known as carbolic acid. Remember this, carbolic acid, right? We have habit to use carbolic acid and not phenol, right? So it will be tricky, right? Name the scientist, name which of the following scientists applied carbolic acid for the first time in surgical field. Phenol you are well aware, Joseph Lister, but if carbolic acid, we'll catch hold of some scientist who has done work in some acids, which is well known. Right? That will be one of the option in that concept. So fine, 80% of the students will attempt that because you are not aware phenol is known as carbonic acid. We also develop practice of spraying phenol in the operating room area to control infection. It is who started this thing, very important word. Phenol and phenolics or phenol derivatives such as cresols, xylenols or orthophenylphenol are used as disinfectants in laboratories and hospitals. The commercial disinfectant Lysol is made up of mixture of phenolics. They have some real advantages as disinfectants. Phenolics are lethal to tubercle bacilli, effective in presence of organic material and remain active on the surface long after application. So they are comparatively very important and very good. A 5% aqueous solution of phenol rapidly kills the vegetative cells and of microorganisms. Right? So phenolic and phenolic compounds are very low concentration, 5% aqueous solution. Right? We use phenols in the food. The mode of action specifically is disruption of cells, precipitation of proteins, inactivation of enzymes, and leakage of important amino acids from the cells. So all this finally will lead to death of the organism. These are the structures of some phenolic compounds: orthocresol, orthophenylphenol, hexachlorophene, and so on. Alcohols. Next group is alcohol, which are also used as disinfectants and antiseptics. Alcohols are among the most widely used disinfectants and antiseptics. Right? Just recall my first point, the definition justified. It can be used to clean inanimate objects also and tissues also. So there are certain things, certain chemicals which are common and that are good. They are bactericidal and fungicidal but not sporicidal. Now see again, eukaryotic and prokaryotic organisms are killed, are destroyed. So that is common. So you need to take care while understanding the question, right? Some lipid containing viruses are also destroyed by alcohols, and that's why alcohols are very important. The two most popular alcohol germicides are ethanol and isopropanol, usually used in about 70 to 80% concentration. You are well aware, which is available in the laboratory. Right? Suppose if it is used in some staining procedure, that may be the different thing. But for this, 70 to 80 is a very effective concentration. We will not go for higher concentration, otherwise it will waste and it may be toxic. A 10 to 15 minute soaking is sufficient to disinfect thermometers and small instruments. Methyl alcohol is less bactericidal than ethyl alcohol. Now this is very important information. Right? As you go from lower to higher, its germicidal activity will increase. The higher alcohols are more germicidal than ethyl alcohol. So methanol, ethanol, butanol, propanol. Propanol is more dangerous. But then why we are not using that? There is a progressive increase in germicidal power as the molecular weight of alcohol increases. Right? This is a proven theory. Alcohols of molecular weight higher than that of propyl alcohol are not miscible. This is the limitation in all proportions of water and therefore not commonly used as disinfectants. That is the limit. Again, many questions can be formed from this, right? Regarding the effectivity, germicidal effectivity. Which one is having more? Options are ethanol, methanol, propanol, butanol. So in that case, you need to write butanol. But suppose if it is asked that which is more miscible, suppose if that term I indicate, then answer will change. And one which is widely used, only both. Ethanol. It comes to ethanol, which is widely used. Right? As it is indicated here. Among the most widely used disinfectants, and specifically this ethanol and isopropanol. Practical applications, alcohol is effective in reducing the microbial flora of skin and for the disinfection of clinical oral thermometers also. Mode of actions, they are protein denaturants. Protein are important components, important macromolecules, right? Without protein, organism will not survive. So one which affects protein, organisms are bound to that. The damaged lipid complexes in cell membrane affects cell membrane permeability, disrupt that. They are dehydrating agents, removal of water. So these are the multiple mode of actions of alcohols, right? And as you go from higher, it has more germicide, but the problem is the miscibility. If they are not miscible, they will not be as effective as the previous one. So that is very much essential that it should be like that. These are the alcohols. Next group is halogen. And the last one of the today's discussion regarding these antibiotics, antiseptics and disinfectants. A halogen of any of the 5 elements, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine and astatine in the group 7A of the periodic table. These are halogens. Most effective regarding our understanding and our usage is concerns are iodine and chlorine. Right? They exist in diatomic molecules in free state and form salt-like compounds with sodium and other metals. The halogens, iodine and chlorine are important antimicrobial agents. They are recognized as an important antimicrobial agents. Iodine is solid. It is one of the oldest and most effective germicidal agent. It was recognized by US Pharmacopoeia in 1830. It is only slightly soluble in water but readily soluble in alcohol and aqueous solution of potassium and sodium iodide. The element is traditionally used as germicidal agent in the form referred to as tincture of iodine. Right? You are well aware with this terminology, tincture of iodine. Right? Immediately it is applied, whether some wound is there, immediately it is applied. It is antibacterial. This was formulated in year 1908 by Antonio. Right? Tincture of iodine. This information is essential. Iodine is also used in the form of substances known as iodophores. Iodophores are mixture of iodines with surface active agents which act as carriers and solubilizers of iodine. One of these agent is PVP, and complex can be expressed as PVPI. I indicates iodophore. Importance of iodophores, we say iodophores possess a germicidal characteristics of iodine and have an additional advantage of non-staining and low irritant properties. As I have said, that improvement is very much essential. How things can be improved once you are well aware regarding its positive and negative aspect. Try to remove negative. It is improvement. It is more improved version of that. Carry out research, improve them, eliminate negative aspect. Right? So this comes. It is non-staining. Staining was a practical applications of iodine, highly effective bactericidal agent, effective against all kinds of bacteria. It possesses poricidal activity also, very important. It is highly fungicidal and is to some extent virucidal. Iodine solutions are chiefly used for the disinfection of skin also. Right? That's why tincture of iodine was widely used. Iodine preparation are effective for the purposes such as disinfection of water, disinfection of air and sanitization. You are well versed with this sanitization of food utensils. Iodine preparations are used, right? In restaurants specifically. Very much essential because they use in large quantity. At home, fine, we use normal detergent itself. Detergents are used for washing. They have also some antibacterial property, some component. Mode of action of iodine is an oxidizing agent. It irreversibly oxidizes and thus inactivates essential metabolic compounds such as proteins with sulfahydryl groups. This is a very simple mode of action of iodine. It has been also suggested that action may involve the halogenation of tyrosine units of enzymes and other cellular proteins requiring tyrosine for the activity, and that will hinder the overall process. And finally, the organisms would be killed. Chlorine gas. It is usual disinfectant for municipal water supplies and swimming pools, and is also employed in dairy and food industry. See the large scale use of halogen, specifically chlorine. It may be applied as chlorine gas, sodium hypochlorite as a bleach, or calcium hypochlorite, all of which yield hypochlorous acid HClO and then atomic oxygen or nascent oxygen, which has the anti property. The result is oxidation of cellular materials and destruction of vegetative bacteria and fungi, although not spores. These are the few most important reactions leading to formation of nascent oxygen. Death of almost all microorganisms usually occurs within 30 minutes. Regarding this usage is concerned, or regarding the use of chlorine is concerned. One potential problem is that chlorine reacts with organic compounds to form carcinogenic trihalomethanes, which must be monitored in drinking water. Right? So when municipal water supply are using this for disinfection, this is to be checked. This information you should have regarding trihalomethanes, which are carcinogenic. Right? Again, it can be a very good question in MCQ. Chlorine is also an excellent disinfectant for individual use because it is effective, inexpensive, and easy to employ, easy to handle. All these aspects are very much important. Apart from its effectiveness, its cost is also very much important. It should be inexpensive. Then user friendly. We go for many things which are user friendly. If it is user friendly, fine, I am comfortable with it. We are very conservative, right? So easy to employ, not much risk, and that's why it has been widely used. Importance is justified. Chlorine solutions make very effective laboratory and household disinfectants. An excellent disinfectant detergent combination can be prepared by 1:40 dilution of household bleach is combined with some non-ionic detergent such as dishwashing detergent to give 0.8% detergent concentration, and this mixture will remove both dirt as well as bacteria. 2 in 1. You can prepare by yourself. Both activity in single compound. The chloramines represent another category of chlorine compounds used as disinfectants, sanitizing agents, or antiseptics. So this is a broad spectrum use of chlorine. The simplest of this is monochloramine or monochloramine. One of the advantage of chloramines is stability. They are more stable than the hypochlorites in terms of prolonged release of chlorine. Chlorine compounds have been used to disinfect open wounds. Right? It has a prolonged release, prolonged. So it will be effective for comparatively longer period of time. It will have its effectivity, right? And that's why they are widely used. That's all regarding all those aspects. This was the final slide related to that. These are some references. Right? These websites are very important. If you can note down, or you will get it from them. Related to microbiology MCQ questions, you just log in this website and you can solve the problem and they can give you results also. Don't know exact procedure, but you can go through that. Yes. Methanol? Germicidal action. We were talking regarding germicidal, but it is very dangerous for humans. It is very dangerous. Right? So chemically, suppose available methanol, whatever they do, you might have heard in newspaper that consumption of that was very fatal in population. Germicidal. So any questions? I think it was very exhaustive. I can understand things. It was exhaustive for me also. It is very difficult to sit and deliver lecture. But I think rules and regulations are such that I am not allowed to move here and there because I have a habit to move here and there. I burn my calories. Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that. Yes. Yeah. See, it is a very complicated process as such, right? Resistant to only that means availability or giving that for a particular period of time. Exposure, higher concentration, then reduce the concentration. What we call it, I'm not recalling the specific term, what we call it as sudden pressurizing something and then releasing, right? It becomes dangerous. But those who can bear that, so this is very humorous slide. Please wash hands before using hand sanitizer. What is the purpose of hand sanitizer? Don't touch hand sanitizer before washing. Right? Thank you. Thank you very much.